Sometimes people think, I have to be this intellectual writer who can do all of these things. And you're like, no, if you've got a story to tell, you can figure it out. So
it's really powerful to be on set and see these like really energetic, creative people, but know that they need to be taken care of as well. And it's really good as well to kind of hear what training or what resources might be helpful.
On this week's episode of Garry Talks Film, I'm joined by two leading voices shaping the future of our screen industry. Eve Collins-O'Brien and Lorraine Higgins from the National Talent Academy. They shared the latest developments and opportunities for both emerging and established filmmakers across Ireland, from new pathways into the industry to the supports helping talent thrive right across the country.
It is tough. Yeah. Like if we're not sugarcoating things, it is tough and it's a long game.
Yeah.
You don't make one short and then making a feature and then like actually how great is a feature? Do you know what I mean? Like what? You're not going to make it lots of money. You're not going to, you know what I mean? Like
some of the people we've seen coming in through entry level programs though, they hit the ground running and you're just like, you were born to be here.
Yeah.
And that is... That's a high, like that
and
is...
then you're free as well, we want to say like free, like
yeah.
everything we do is free, which is very important.
Garry Talks Film, kindly supported by Grace on Demand SkillNet and the Rap Commission.
This podcast is part of the GK Media Studios Creators Network, helping people tell their stories. Become a storyteller today and learn about our podcaster network at gkmediastudios.com.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Garry Talks Film, brought to you by Grace on Demand, SkillNet and the Rap Commission. And I'm delighted to be joined in studio by Eve Collins-O'Brien and Lorraine Higgins from the NTA National Talent Academy. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Kick it off.
Yeah.
What is NTA?
Do you want to take this? You're better at describing it all.
Do you reckon? So the National Talent Academies is the umbrella, and underneath the umbrella is film and TV.
Yeah.
Film and TV drama, who take care of the writers, producers and directors. Nationally. And then there's animation, which takes care of the animation sector nationally, and VFX, which is also national. Then there's 3 crew academies. I take care of Crew West, and then there's Crew East and Crew South as well. Okay,
brilliant. So looking after people above the line and below the line.
Yeah.
In terms of the industry, and then the different sectors in the industry of film, television, drama,
VFX.
Thanks. And animation.
And animation. And then within that, that's everything from quite well-established talent to like new entrants. So there's the real spectrum of like career level even within that.
And returners as well.
So you're looking after that pool of people in the industry.
Yeah.
Doing what?
Doing everything.
What are we not doing?
Literally doing everything.
Counselling, hand massages.
All of it. My focus is writers, directors, producers, script editors, that kind of thing. So above the line, as we call it in the industry, which I only really learned a couple of years ago, was a term, and that's national. So as I said, that's everybody from new entrants, people leaving college. So everybody has to be out of education. But once you've left education, be that whatever age, straight through to like more experienced talent that like maybe has done feature films and now is looking to direct their first TV show, and kind of like the shadow placement maybe or mentoring involved in that. So like straight through everything.
And out of college, being that you would have done a media course.
Yeah, but equally not, you don't have to have gone to college. Like you could be coming back to the education for the first time when you're a new entrant and you've gone and had 20 kids and you're coming back to the industry, or you've been working in tech and you've decided I want to really get this short film made. So, but equally if you've just left college. But definitely there can be like a preconception that when we talk about people entering the industry that they're young people, but there's really not. And like we cater for everybody. And sometimes there's particular programs that are for people certain ages.
Which is really cool because you are right. A lot of people think it's just for emerging filmmakers, we're thinking of like 18, 20-year-olds. But it could be someone in their 40s or 50s saying, I want to get into the industry.
And sometimes that's the mindset you have to have as the talent. You have to like remember that you're a new entrant and you're emerging. Like, you know what I mean? That sometimes you think the industry's, when you're coming in, it's just for younger talent, but it's really not,
Yeah. Brilliant. So Eve, I've known you for years. Down through the Galway Film Fleadh. Talk to people who don't know or mightn't have heard our previous conversations of FLA podcast we would have done.
Yes.
Can you give us an overview of your career in the industry? Yeah.
So I volunteered for the Galway Film FLA when I was 16. And then I was just like, right, I love this. I love the madness. Film was always obviously a big thing in our household. My dad was a filmmaker. And then I never wanted to be a filmmaker, but I loved film. And then, I started volunteering.
Why did you not want to be a filmmaker?
Because it's torturous. It's torturous. Like, it really is. It has to be a calling. You have to be good at it, or you have to make yourself good at it. You have to, it's tough. It's so, and I think that drives a lot of what I do now is it shouldn't be that hard. You should be able to feed your family, or you should be able to rent. You should be able to do all these things. And, obviously it takes a lot of work. Nothing's handed to you, but it shouldn't be that difficult all of the time. And your mental health and your physical health and all these things shouldn't be, commodity that you're burning. I volunteered for the FLA. I was 16 in TY. And then I just fell in love with it, loved all the madness, loved the film, but loved the people. I was like, these are my people. And then stayed volunteering. And then when I left school, I continued volunteering for other festivals, and then started getting internships and started kind of just doing more and more within the space. And I just loved short film. And I just thought, how isn't everybody at short films all of the time? Why isn't there a bigger crowd? Why aren't we celebrating them more? And then kind of just dove into that and made that my special interest and just tripled down on that. And I just kind of fall in love with short film. I was vocal about that. So then I started volunteer for festivals elsewhere, saying we have all these Irish films, why don't you let me program for you? We'll do a guest programming slot for, focus on Irish talent. And then that kind of snowballed. And I got to work with international Irish festivals and international festivals in general. And I just stayed. I was in that until last year was the first year. No, this year is the first year that I wasn't at the FLA, which is always difficult. So I had to leave that behind just because the NTA just takes up. It's just become this beautiful beast. So I just stepped back from that.
So that's 5. You started when you were 16, so that's 5 years going to the FLA, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's all of the... thank you. I was trying to do the maths there. I was like, so all of those years. So I really I don't know, I just kept seeing the same mistakes, and then the same people same people making films and the same stories being told. I was like, where are the other people's stories? Where are the other, where are these voices? And where are, people that I know, or, I was able to, when I got this NTA job, I said, right, I can make a difference here. What can we do? That's kind of been one of my big focuses, and we can get into that a little bit more later, but being able to make those changes and make sure the people that are coming into the industry, one, feel supported, and the people that are in the industry stay in the industry as long as they want to. So that's kind of, so the programming is very different hat, but also it's fed into this nicely and into particularly the inclusion within the industry and the bigger picture of stuff. And I think it's actually helpful that I'm not a filmmaker now, because you're able to take one step back and you're not invested in that kind of way in it. It's not like if that was my film, I would do this or whatever. You're kind of you're a separate thing from, outside of it. We were talking about recently about not being in a WhatsApp group that are full of filmmakers. And I'm like, if I'm making filmmakers, not a filmmaker. So it's really nice. That's kind of a nice little way to look at it. So yeah.
It's wonderful that all the jobs you've had in your career have been fueled by passion and inner fulfillment.
Yeah, I'm very lucky that I was very, very bad at school and didn't finish my Leaving Cert, and my parents are very good. It's just there was a big just go your own way, do your own thing, figure it out. And I love working, so it was really good. I was working in a cafe and I was volunteering for festivals, and I was going to Dingle to intern for a couple of weeks, and I was very lucky that I had that relaxed atmosphere, that it was go figure out what you want to do. And then from there, I think I got a good reputation of being a good worker, but also being a nice person to work with.
Yeah, which is important.
Fantastic person to work with.
You're a bit slow there with your response, right? We've been rehearsing that for the last hour.
I'll be quicker next time.
I was very, so it has been, it's all of that is added to the job. And I have no qualifications. So I always think that's a big thing as well. It's all experience based, and I kind of value that in other people, and that's one of the things we're very passionate about, is bringing people in, transferring from other areas that have all these skills that are can get a job here in in the industry and have a really fulfilled career. Sometimes people think, I have to be this intellectual writer who can do all of these things. You're like, no, if you've got a story to tell, we can figure it out. So
brilliant.
Yeah, a bit waffly there.
No, excellent.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Lorraine, you're also a wonderful person to work with, I'm sure.
She is.
And you're a Galwegian, so you're more than welcome here today. You're from Ballinasloe. Can you give us an overview of your career that brought you into the work you're doing today at NTA?
Eve is wonderful to work with. Actually,
she's frightened.
I don't want to gush too much, but we're actually really lucky because all of the all of the people that are working for the NTAs are really wonderful to work with. So not to clamose too much, but genuinely, we're very lucky. I used to work in bars. I was bartender after I left school. Didn't do well in school either.
There's a theme.
Underachiever, but also loved working. Like I was mad to get working. I used to beg my parents' friends to let me babysit for them when I was like 11. So I was, But I came home from Spain in 2014 with the objective of working in film. So how
long were you in Spain for?
I was kind of shy talking around Europe for like 6 years.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So I was
in your 20s?
In my 20s.
Wow, that's how you
20s,
do it.
Yeah. And I actually quit drinking when I was 24.
Was that after a bad night?
It was after about 6 years of shy talking around Europe. I was like, okay. I think
or was it when you realised the price of drink in Ireland compared to...
I stopped drinking when I was still living in Portugal. So... But once I had all this headspace and time to think about what I wanted to do with my life, and I knew I loved film. I'd been an extra on show bands, the Kerry Katona thing. Yes. That kind of planted a seed, and then many years later I was like, okay, I might just have a go and see what happens. So I came home. Talk about waffle. This is going to be a lot of waffle now. But I did an ETB out in Gort in radio production.
Oh, yes.
And that was a fantastic course. Like everything I learned in terms of like organisation, I learned on that course. I don't think I passed it though. Yeah. But I got what I needed and I headed off to Dublin and I started working in locations on mostly music videos and commercials to start off, and then did like The Bachelorette and a German like Inspector Morris type show. I can't remember the name of it, but that was great. Then I went into production. I worked a lot with also Galway-based John Brady, and I loved working with John. So I was very comfortable then for a few years working as a production coordinator, and most of the work was in Dublin, except for a couple of jobs we did out in Spiddle and in Uachtarard. And I loved being back in Galway. So at that time, I was like, how can I be in Galway all the time? And it didn't really seem achievable then, but I worked as a production coordinator and then I got a role in Screen Ireland. And I worked there for almost 3 years in inward production, and I got to meet...
Were you based in Galway or Dublin with Screen Ireland?
Dublin initially, but then when COVID happened, I asked if I could work out of the Galway office because we were all working from home anyway. And Teresa McGrain was like, absolutely. She thought it was a great idea. And I was like, yes. So I headed off to Galway. I haven't left since. clinging to my life in Galway. So that brought me back to Galway.
Are you still off the drink at this stage?
Yeah. I don't drink. I won't ever drink. Thank you for all of the bottles of wine that people have given me over the years, but they are re-gifted. Yeah. And so then I was working at Screen Ireland. I was a coordinator in inward production. So there was probably an itch that needed to be scratched. I probably was ready for a bit more responsibility. The next job I had was this job. So I'm now running Crew West for National Talent Academies, and I've started producing.
Yes.
Oh,
very chill in my downtime.
What are you producing?
Short films.
Excellent.
I'm again just sucking up to Eve. Just like, look at my shorts, Eve.
She's done some like gorgeous work, and you've been very busy.
Yeah, it's been really busy. I work with my producing partner Ashley Malone, and we're really, really lucky so far. We've worked with amazing talent, and it's also really helped with this role in Crew West in terms of like feeding into that, you know, what Eve was talking about like mental health and like, you know, people's capacity and stuff.
Making
and it's
changes,
it's really powerful to be on set and see these like really energetic, creative people, but know that they need to be taken care of as well. And, you know, it's really good as well to kind of hear on the ground what training or what resources might be helpful.
I don't know where you were, but at the Film Fla this year, and I think it was a lady called Aisling, that's why it came into my head, had set up this initiative where there was a creche in the Galmont Hotel.
That was
the Aisling. Okay, yeah.
So that was an NTA.
That was
funded,
NTA.
That was a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
I'll let you explain it more.
We run this job share program. I had been talking to Will at the Fla about doing a panel just because we'd been running it for about a year and a half when the Fla happened this year. So we were like, okay, we'll check in with the stakeholders and see like how it's progressing progressing, how it's coming along, if there's been uptake, if there's been resistance. And the last time we did a session on the job share, we'd offered childcare, and that was at TU Dublin, and it was across 2 days. We were doing like training and a bunch of different things.
So this is opening up the conversation about people on a crew job sharing.
Yeah.
To have that work-life balance.
Sustainable, yeah, exactly. We were discussing whether we'd offer childcare for that panel, and I said, I'll ask Will if the FLA might be open to us offering childcare for the full fare. Yeah, Will was very on board. He was really enthusiastic, so that made it really easy then to go off. And we partner with Raising Films Ireland, which is Aisling Malone, who I also produce with. So
that's mad.
It's all everything's connected.
Yeah. So the film fair, for those who don't know, is it takes place during the Galway Film FLA. It's part of the Galway Film FLA, and it's where all these workshops take place, discussions, panel discussions, but also these meetings, which is called Marketplace, where filmmakers get to meet people from all over the industry, whether it's distributors, commissioners, festival organisers, financiers, and so on. And it was this thing of, because I have two girls, a 12-year-old and a 7-year-old, and I thought, like, it's only now as the 12-year-old comes to the age that she is that we're getting a little bit more independence as parents. Yeah. But certainly for the first number of years when I had young children, you're aware of your limitations and your restriction on time to do things, and you need to be home to collect them and so on, that it's very difficult in this industry to raise a family and engage with your family and be present with your family whilst trying to build a career in this industry. So the idea of actually people being able to go to these meetings and these discussions and their little one looked after for the day, genius.
Big impact. And it made such a big impact. And like it was a case that, like, no one took advantage of it. It was literally people were using it for the meetings or for the event that they wanted to attend that was going to help them
progress their career.
100%. And I heard so many stories this year at the FLA of like children being handed to strangers at gates when the marketplace was up at the old school. But lots of different stories, and it's great now to be in a position where we can be like, okay, here's a problem. Let's fix it. Yeah.
Let's just address it. Yeah.
Excellent. So this is the sort of stuff that the NTA gets involved in. It's seeing the issues that are out there and getting involved. So can we talk about more issues that you're seeing on the ground?
Oh God!
Have I opened up a can of worms there?
I think the job sharing, I know it's kind of connected to what we were talking about, but when we were initially set up, there was a massive focus on new entrants. Am I talking an awful lot? Do you want to talk?
No, keep going.
There was a massive focus on new entrants, and obviously that's very important, and bringing and opening the doors for people. That's really important. You know, making sure that there's no barriers for people who want to work in the industry, and then it's kind of up to them to work hard and make the connections and network and all of that stuff. But on the other hand, what we were kind of noticing was that all of these really experienced crew were burning out and were just deciding to either go teaching or, completely stepping away, going into a completely different sector, or stepping away to raise their children or had caring responsibilities. That was before Aisling Malone started at Raising Films Ireland. So there wasn't a dedicated project manager. But once she was on board, then everything came together really quickly. And we engaged with Real Time Media in the UK, who already had established, they had run an organisation called Share My Telly Job, which worked really well.
Okay.
But job sharing is not the answer to all of the industry's problems. But if you are, if you're going from job to job to job and you're not getting a second to think, maybe one of those jobs you job share with someone who you can trust and who also needs like a period of reduced hours. It doesn't mean you're going to job share forever. Definitely having producers and productions a bit more open to it, and the work that we're doing to kind of show what the benefits are. And Raising Films Ireland now as well, they have a small pot of money to help facilitate crossover days to make it more manageable for productions.
Makes sense.
But that'll make a massive impact in terms of like the problems we see.
So let's say there's someone listening who used to work in the industry, have the experience, but due to other issues, it might be a carer or it might be a parent of young children or something like that. But they have maybe, 20 hours a week that they could allocate now to working in the industry. How do they take that next step to get involved in job sharing?
I would say we've run everything for this year, but next year to keep an eye on the socials and the newsletter for anything job share related. Reach out to us. We're very approachable and available. I am anyway. And
ooh, Eve, is that a dig?
Maybe a bit too much. Well, I don't want to speak for everyone, like reach out to you. But yeah, we're really available to be contacted, and also Raising Films Ireland. Yeah. That's like a massive, that's their entire remit really, is people, trying to re-enter the industry or make the industry work for them. Yeah.
So Eve, what sort of issues are you coming across with writers, directors, producers?
I guess less so issues, more so barriers. Like there's just barriers out there that we're all blind to and other people aren't, and then there's other people are blind to stuff that we're not. So I think it's like just even being aware of those, that other people are going through things and are, have other restrictions or requirements or whatever it is that we don't personally have, and to be open to that. I think that's a big thing. Like any industry, there's so many things and so many places and so many issues we could talk about. Like I think in general, we're getting better about talking about things, which is very important. And we're better for not taking no shit and having those conversations and like talking about toxic work environments and addressing things and like having people to go to. And like we should mention Screen Ireland is the funder of the entirety of the National Talent Academies, which is, we literally wouldn't exist without them. They're great leaders within that. So like, if they're hearing the same stuff again and again and sharing that with us, and we're hearing it again and again and being able to like, right, let's do something about this. Let's address this need.
Yeah, so you're hearing it from people on the ground. You're able to funnel it back over to Screen Ireland.
The other way as well. They're hearing it from kind of maybe like even higher level producers or international or from government or whatever it is. And then we're able to actually make the impact. So there's a nice ecosystem there.
And is there that kind of open to a regular communication going on?
Yeah. We're very, very, very involved. So we have like our own contact in there, Ange Senior, who's fantastic. And there's a great work environment. Like Lorraine was saying, we're very lucky with everybody who runs the NTAs, like each of the lead organizations, but even within that, the managers and program directors and all of that within it, we're like a great little sisterhood. So we're really, really lucky. And then there's great project coordinators within that. And then there are the CEOs from our lead organizations. Like, so there's this ecosystem that's really like made to last, but also from each different person or each organization are bringing kind of different skills and different information and different locations and all of it into it. And then Screen Ireland, obviously, then having the backing of them and the support of them, of like leaning on them for stuff, but also them leaning on us and having that, like, really, we are quite lucky. And I'm not just saying that because they pay our bills, but it is, we are very
very
lucky.
Collaborative.
Collaborative,
it feels very like it's a conversation and it's an ebb and flow of like,
So sometimes we'll see stuff and be able to like, this is too big. This is too big an issue for us. We are 6 people, whatever it is, we'll, put that up the chain. But equally as well, if it's like, right, this is something we're seeing with new entrants, or like there's, for some reason, there's this demographic that we're not hitting with, whatever it is, that we're able to all work together. And we all have skills in different areas as well that like, that we kind of rely on for different stuff.
So the NTA is a national organisation, the name being in the title. Headquarters is the Crew Building in Galway, is that right?
So for film and TV drama, that's where I work out of.
Oh, so it has different offices around the country.
Offices, So, for example, Animation Ireland is run out of Animation Ireland. When I think their offices are in Dublin or like CCIS
building, actually.
So and that's who run the VFX Academy. So it's all very different. And then even within that, then obviously there's the Screen Ireland and Screen Ireland skills team. But then even the production team we'd be quite close to as well, because obviously there's shadow placements to figure out, and there's finding out what's coming in and what's going out and all that kind of side of stuff as well. So there's a lot of moving parts.
And then there's other organisers like councils involved who go to Screen Ireland to get the funding. And Screen Ireland then dispense the funding down to you?
So for example, Ardon, formerly Galway Film Centre, they're the lead organisation. So we apply with Ardon to Screen Ireland for that money to run the National Talent Academy for Film and TV Drama. And then we run that with that budget. Lorraine and Atlantic Academy go and apply for their own budget to Screen Ireland. So we're all very separate.
And how often do you apply?
Once a year. So we're literally waiting on next year's money now. So it's very...
Which is guaranteed?
No.
2026 budget?
No, it's no. We have to wait and see. Now we haven't been told we're not going to have a job next year, but it's like anything, it could be gone. Like we are year to year. We're trying to make, as I was saying earlier, we're like trying to make as much of an impact as we can while we're everybody's, getting enough money, that we can do that. But there's nothing to say that we're not here forever. We're not, we each year to year we're applying for new money.
And I know that's the nature of the industry, especially if you're working on set.
Yeah.
But it's scary at the same time.
Yeah, like we could now, like realistically, we have 2026. Like we know that nobody's told us we're not getting money. But 2027, if it's a very different budget, if we have a COVID, like who really knows what the situation will be?
I read that the UK had a 23% drop in production.
Yeah.
Like who would have thought that was going to happen? So
we just don't know. Like we really don't know. Like if Netflix decides to go kaput, who and what do they take with them? Like we're a little island, but there is so much out of our control. And like that, we're in that same environment.
For some reason, Aideen Doherty's voices in my head being like that's why we have to like nurture the indigenous stories. And I mean, a lot of our success as a country on the world stage comes from those indigenous, like genuinely Irish stories and Irish talent.
But we need the Netflix to train crew up.
100%.
And to be able to give big shadow placements and big opportunities.
Yeah, talk to me about the shadow placements, because this is brilliant.
Yeah, basically I'll talk about writers, directors, producers, and script editors. So we have a database that sits there and it's open from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. So it just closed there in November. So it'll reopen again early next year. And it sits there. It's on a rolling, whatever the right term is. It sits there and people apply if you meet the right criteria. So there's different for each field. And then we gather the database. Productions come to us and say, I'm looking for a shadow director who's like queer and lives in Navan. We go to that database and use the filters and find out a group of people that we can share. We put them forward. They kind of usually get it down to a short list, or we organise interviews, and then we fund them to go on set. So then that could be anything from 2 to 8 weeks. So sometimes it's 2 weeks in prep, or sometimes it's 2 weeks in prep and then on shoot and then in post, or lots of different variations of stuff. Or maybe it's a writer's room for 2 weeks and then it's whatever. So there's lots of different things, but that's very much industry led now. We've built a structure. This is one of the things when I started the job was like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if we did shadow placements? So it's something I've spent a lot of time developing and will continue to. We're quite lucky that productions are now really seeing the value in it. And I think a big part of that is Section 481. Having them come along and say, right, we're aware that, we have this great big opportunity. We'd love to bring someone in for 2 weeks now. There's a lot that goes into making sure it's the right production and that they're actually set up and it's not taking advantage of anyone and it's the right person and all of that. So it's a lot of work.
But it's brilliant for people in the industry to get on a live professional set
and there's nothing
and shadow
like it,
someone.
Particularly if you've done a few shorts and you're like, I'm really struggling to get that first feature because it's a problem in our industry, even with shorts, you don't get your first funded work until you've done something. But even like you don't get your first feature until you've done your first feature. So, or move into TV without having done enough features. So there's a weird thing of sometimes not. Yeah,
so it is another barrier.
Yeah, it is definitely. So having someone on set, they learn so much, they absorb so much. They also are like, this isn't how I'm going to run my set. Like there's that, or this is definitely, I'll take this bit, I'll take that bit, and then to take that next step. So that's a really great one. So we've had, the first year we did it, we had maybe like 8 productions, and since then, I think this year we've gone to 48 just for.
Wow.
And that's funded. So that's like, again, that's a big, like we wouldn't be able to do that without the Screen Ireland money supporting us. So, and that's going to productions who then take care of the shadow placement. So it's definitely not a work opportunity. It is a funded training opportunity. Yeah. But you're able to take that time, go on set, learn, take those 2 weeks, 6 weeks off work, whatever it is, and then be able to kind of develop your career and then come out the other side and have like all these skills and also like new contacts and like a lot of the shadower relationships. Kind of there's a mentoring element there, some with not. But then they're all very different, as I said, like in different places in the production, but also some people are very hands-on, some people aren't, like goes down to each of the production. So really what I'm trying to say is it's very industry-led, and that's one of the great things that like our industry is good, is for opening up those doors. It has taken a while, and again, like if anybody decides to get a bit iffy about it, it can all close down again, but at the moment it is. So one of the big things when we do anything is going to places and talking to producers, like, and talking to like the big studios and being like, come in, like, we'll fund it, we'll take care of it. Like, we have the ecosystem, it's fair, it's open. It's not like, one of the big things we pride ourselves on, it isn't like you come and say, right, I have my friend John. My John's going to come shadow us, give us money. It's like, nope, everything has to go through the database.
Yeah.
A lot of productions are finding people they'd never, ever, ever in a million years cross paths with. And like, we're able to get people that are based in Galway doing 6 weeks in Troy, like, or wherever, like they're able to get out and, you know, get a little bit somewhere a little bit different and learn from new people and make new contacts.
Because I availed the mentorship side, Ciara Appleby of O'Sullivan Productions, who's a film producer, and she mentored me. I was the mentee, and it was just brilliant because it wasn't just the huge value of information I was getting from meeting her over 6 months, but the friendship and the relationship that has grown from that. And like I was in touch with her a few weeks ago on something, and she's just brilliant. And even I think maybe 2 months ago, I had sent in an application screen in Ireland, and they sent something back that I hadn't filled in properly, and it was panic stations, and I didn't know what to do. It's like, Ciara, and 15 minutes, it was all sorted and resubmitted.
Sense check, but but you can see why if you didn't have that. Now we do a lot of mentoring, and that's something maybe we can chat about next. But like, if you didn't have that, like, who do you go to? And like, sometimes people reach out to us and be like, and it's maybe not an NTA short, but it's a John Leary fund or whatever, and they're like, oh, I don't understand what this is, or can you give me somebody, or can you whatever? And you're like, yeah, like maybe try this, or have you looked at this, or whatever. So it's nice that we're able to help in that way. But the mentoring, there's nothing like it, and we do, as I said, a lot with mentors, but each one is very, very different and has very different value and has a very different outcome. But really, it's making sure the mentors are paid for their time as well. Like, that's a big part of it. So you feel that you can actually ask them the questions and get stuff out of it, because you know, I can go to you and ask Lorraine a question and be like, Lorraine, but like, I'm aware of her time and her energy, and there's only so much you can do. But at least if her time is getting paid for, that's like, you know, it's that ecosystem of paying people.
But what I loved about it,
their time and energy,
which is important to draw that line across the sand. But what I loved about it was just the two of us meeting in a hotel lobby or a coffee shop.
But
but there's no BS. There's no, you know, gloss to it. It's like, let's just talk harsh reality. What's going on in the industry, and so valuable, because you don't get that in college with respect. You won't read it in a report or anything like that. But just getting that real honesty is amazing.
Like, finding that mentor is an art as well. You know, like finding the person that's actually good for you, because like with a lot of our mentorship teams, it's like, everybody wants Lenny Abrahamson, like everybody, and you're like, first of all, that's not realistic. There's only so many hours in the day. But then also you're like, but what does he know about right now trying to produce your first short in the ecosystem in the west of Ireland? Like, what, like, definitely you get great advice, and like, we can listen to him for days and days, but also like, it's probably more realistic to find somebody, you know, who has a closer frame of reference. This is good for right now, and that's going to be able to support you. Like, it's not as sexy. But like, it is more useful, and there's more tangible, and like, you've built a relationship, and they're going to have,
and it'll be with you throughout your career.
Exactly.
And so, like, I mean, we all want Lenny to mentor us, but Lenny, as if I know. But yeah, you like Brian or Saoirse or whoever down the road, you share resources. And,
because it's sometimes you get lost in that, like, oh, I want this glamour. Big thing, and I'll have these conversations. It's like, no, it just kind of ends up being you interviewing somebody you love, and you get into the nitty gritty of how they directed that scene. But is that going to help you survive tomorrow? Like, when shit hits the fan, or like, they're gonna get different questions than you are, and there's different levels of, like, you know, they're in a very different place in their lives, never mind careers. So that selecting people and knowing that, and like having somebody to talk to about that, like having those conversations that we did of like where and what and who, like, and the same when you're doing the on-set mentoring, like it's so important. It's not like, oh, like, just go with John. Like, poor John's getting a lot of shit today. But like, just go with John. I'm trying to think of all the Johns I know now. I'm like, oh God. But just, you know, you have to have those conversations of like, that's great, but also, would you get more benefit from
Mary?
Yeah.
Mary's around. She's a good egg.
She is.
The on-set learning that the crew academies do is similar, but slightly different. We do work placements. So there's 3 crew academies, which we've covered. So my colleagues, Jade Travers, she runs Crew East, and Rachel Power runs Crew South. So we kind of divide and conquer when it comes to the on-set learning. To be put on a work placement, you have to have done like an entry-level course with us. So either, you know, an AD boot camp, or the film and TV crew fundamentals, or passport to production, something like that. And then you are put into, we try and find you a work placement in your preferred department. That isn't always possible, but it is our priority to get you into the department you want to be in. But ultimately, you just get a chance to be on set, to see how a set is run, a professional, usually, mid to high tier production. So it's really beneficial for them, and a great opportunity for them to meet trainees who, being honest, that's how you're going to get your job. Your next job is to leave a good impression with the trainees, because they're the ones who are going to recommend you. Or if a project needs dailies, they'll be like, "Oh, Eve was great. She was out on work placement. We should give her a buzz. She's obsessed with John. I don't know what we're going to do with that, but she was good. So we'll get her out.
Keep her away from John.
Keep her away from John. Once you're settled in your career, you might be a DOP, or you might be a production designer. You might have designed a number of quite successful shorts, or you might have worked in the art department on a number of productions, but you're kind of have your eye on your first HOD role in features. So then you come back and you apply to our shadowing database. So when you apply, and if you're successful, you're then same as with Eve's, when we're talking to productions, if they're like, our production designer is very open to being shadowed, I'll send them then the list of people that, might work. We kind of go from there, and then you get an opportunity to be on set with a very experienced production designer who has years of experience, and you'd soak it all in, and that works really, really well. So then you're after your shadow experience, and Eve, you're very busy. You're getting all of this wonderful knowledge, and you get offered your first feature film, and you're like, okay, I remember the shadowing, everything went well. Still a bit daunting, because there's an awful lot. It's an awful lot more involved in, even from pre-production, to wrapping out. Looks completely different on a feature. So then you come back to the crew academies and you apply for a mentor. Now with the crew academies, which is slightly different, then you do have to kind of come with a mentor in mind, and that's how it works best for crew, just because you already have a shorthand, you already have a relationship, so that makes it a lot easier. And
can it be the person you were shadowing?
Oh, totally.
So that's already
that would be amazing. It just means that you can pick up the phone and just
it can't be Lenny.
And
for head of costumes or something.
I don't know how good Lenny was as a crew member. Does he have much crew experience?
He probably has it.
Probably has loads. But so then you have this beautiful thing where you can, because mentoring's been happening forever. Yeah, it's just been unpaid, and I know myself personally.
But there hasn't been that facilitation of it. It's very much people having to go seek it out
and
themselves.
And then you have to know somebody as well. The tough part. Yeah.
Well, I work very closely with John Brady and Siobhan Nigaira. But I still would be like, oh, can I ask them? I'm not, it is that. But if they were my mentor through a scheme, I'd be like, you have to answer my phone. They would. I know well they would. But it's just for you as the person who's being mentored, it just kind of gives you a bit of the power. Yeah. So you feel like, am I bothering them? That kind of goes away.
And a big thing in our industry, if you at all feel like an outsider, even the slightest bit, you're not going to ask. It's very hard to ask for help. Yeah. It really is. Yeah. It's very hard to even find the person to know to ask for help. But then even you're just I have to be strong and flawless. There's this, and figure it all out and be this wonderkin. So sometimes it's just having that system of no, and we'll do the ask also. We'll have that conversation and we'll be your agent. It's a lovely thing. And so there's so much even within that you don't have to be I have to go knock on someone's door. It's
no, because I sent you off a list of who I wanted, and Ciara, I think it was 3 people I had to submit, but Ciara was top of the list. And then you came back and it's Ciara's agrees. Yes. It's brilliant.
It is. Yeah. But it makes such a difference. And if you don't have that connection, I'm sure you could have gone and Googled her and found her email address and But then even we know, one, that she was a great mentor because we've worked for lots, but also in a different capacity that she's good in the place that you are and that she's a kind person. Yeah. And you don't want to put a kind person with somebody who has a very different communication style, or there's so much to consider there because that's how damage is done. You're left in an environment you shouldn't have been left in,
and both parties then are annoyed. Yeah.
And then it's not beneficial to anybody. Yeah. We don't always get it right, obviously, and things change and happen. But even having that person to come back to me this isn't what I thought it was is really come back to somebody in the NTA is really important. Or this is even better. What can I do next? What's the next stage? And growth and support. Yeah.
And if people just go to your website, National Talent Academy's website, is that where they can actually fill out the criteria and join these databases.
Yeah, everything's up there. And you'll see, like, we're obviously quieting down for Christmas now. It's getting quieter, in theory. Though we are launching our short film scheme, actually. So strike all that. It's only getting busier. But all of it's there. But also you can see the stuff that we've done in the past. So it's like, right, that was done previously. I wonder if they'll be doing that at the FLA this year. Or I wonder if like that networking event in Offaly will happen again this year. And like, there's always an email address. So you can always email and keep an eye on the social medias. Really, like the Instagram. The old Instagram. Christ. Laura, go not like that. The Instagram and the socials. But that's the best place for everything, really, because you get to see, and the newsletter. Yeah. The newsletter.
What are you proud of that you have achieved so far?
The Irish language stuff that we've been doing. You obviously have scale to set, which is amazing, and get such good feedback. Yeah, just putting a highlight on Irish language and the response from crew and industry in general who want to be able to speak Irish on set. A lot of Irish language shows have been made recently, which is amazing. Yeah. And obviously Ross-na-Rún is the shining light in the West for Irish language. But I have seen actually kind of more entry-level crew members looking, because we're running a Lunch and Learn Irish next year. And we just started a Listen and Learn yesterday, where books were sent out and you're going to read along with the narrator, and there's an English translation as well. So it'll all go.
You read the book.
Yeah, exactly. Oscailga. Okay. So it's wonderful that there's been such a huge response of interest of people who want to improve their Irish. So that they can, if they do have Irish, they want to stay in the Irish language and build their confidence, so that they can be on set and not have to drop back to English. Yeah. So, and it's mostly about building confidence. Actually, a lot of the industry have Irish, but maybe to leaving cert level, or they just haven't used it in years, so they just want to brush up and.
But even doing the different structure of like the Listen and Learn is like it's so removed from like a classroom, and all of that. You know what I mean? It's so like that innovation is just so important as well. Or it's, it just gets all a bit samey. So that's.
I should say as well, I don't speak Irish. Louise Richardson gets multiple messages a week being like, "How do you pronounce this?" So I'm like really trying to learn as well. But it's sort of taking the scariness out of it, or the what's unknowns, the thing? Yeah, it's just because it's daunting. Yeah, it's really daunting. But to have these like really manageable, achievable kind of points, and then Scale to Set is fantastic.
We had Scale to Set there the week before last, which is an Irish language development programme by Daithí Keane, so that's great. So that was for Irish directors. And then we had a programme with Ross-na-Rún earlier in the year, developing brand new writers through everything they need to do for story writing, and then going straight through to a placement on Ross-na-Rún to get one of the EPs. So it was very good. But I think anything like, I think us as a whole, and definitely from Film and TV's point of view, I think it's like one nationwide that we're having that piece, and that's something I think we're all very proud of and aware of. And I think it's important that there's people, which there is lots of, making those having those conversations and making those arguments and fighting for nationwide activity, and for Galway to stay a hub and continue to grow with that. But equally, I think like my own passion and one of the reasons, as I've alluded to, taking the job is access and inclusion. Like that's just, so being able to make changes and to see changes and to like actually see the rippling effect of that is very, very rewarding. You have to take the good with the bad, and like sometimes that means, doing a lot of work for one tiny thing to do it right, but then at least it's really right for that group of people, and then, or different things. But even I think the industry is shifting, and being able to be a resource for that is great, and be able to share things and like just to do things the right way from the start. We're very lucky, and we're very lucky with the funding we have to be able to do that, to like pay for access costs for apps, for any of the training, for anything, so there's a lot of things like that. And then with that comes the shift, within the industry of other people kind of like, oh, well, actually I was on, like we have an inclusion fund as part of our shorts. So there's a separate short film fund, but then there's up to 5k to apply for, to make the film more accessible for whatever reason. So there's lots that can be childcare, care costs, that can be translators, that can be absolutely anything, like more accessible buildings. If a normal hotel is this and the more accessible building is this, and you have to use that, like that cost, has to come from somewhere. And then people just won't make it accessible because it's an extra cost. So that's where we're able to step in and say, here's the extra 200 quid, or whatever it is, which is which is a great, like, but even within that, that's only new this year and slowly developing. But like, if that takes off, that can, you know, we can build on that and make it more accessible. But even outside of the NTAs, and like that shift in the culture, that it's like you have to be vocal about your own access needs and not put yourself in a situation that's not healthy. So even knowing that when people come to us, they're like, right, actually I can talk about this, or like we're not always going to get it right, but the door is open, the conversation's there. You're not trying to teach us exactly from scratch exactly what this means or what that means or what you need. That shift is really like notable as well. You can see people, and then been able to part of those conversations is great.
Yeah, I think generating those conversations is so important, because when we moved into this building 3 years ago, I wanted a building because we were in an old 16th century building previously in Galway city centre with the steepest stairs possible and about 5 flights of stairs. But I wanted to be in a building that had a ramp, that was wheelchair accessible. When we were building Studio 2 here, I wanted it wheelchair accessible because of hearing these conversations that the NTA was hosting at the FLA and at other events. And even recently, we recorded with our cyclorama green screen I was showing you next door, Irish Sign Language, for it's the first kind of official HSE public project with ISL in it. So there was huge learning for us that week on how we facilitate it, technically how we operate it. But it was a massive experience for us, and it gave the team such a high knowing that we were part of this and creating something, you know, making a healthy initiative more accessible to people out there. The lift it gave us. And what we're trying to do now is even encourage companies to be doing subtitles more in the output of their deliverables, because there's people who mightn't hear properly what's been said in a video or something like that, or might struggle with the English language or something like that.
Exactly.
And it's to create that greater awareness by generating the conversations.
Exactly. And you making those changes on your scale, you know, puts other people in a position that they then have to, and then it does, you know, when we just make a new normal, it becomes the new normal. And I think like a lot of that is championing your own self and like being verbal and not being afraid to be like, this is what I need and this is the things that I do or don't and whatever, and not being frightened of that, which is quite difficult within our industry, particularly like even within the neurodiverse community, going into a space that's too loud, too this, too that, but like that's part of your job, you have to do it. But what you can control is telling your HOD or like bring a buddy with you. Like there's a lot of stuff, you know. Anyway, we could talk literally all day about
but even 2 years ago, everyone was saying auto-enrollment for pensions will never take place. And now it's happening in a couple of weeks, and that's the reality. And it will be normal in a year's time.
Exactly.
And we just need to push hard on these things like job sharing and so on, that it just becomes normal.
Exactly. And that's, there's a mixed onus on everybody to do that. But I think, any of that stuff is particularly rewarding, and you can see the impact. And so that growth, and then being able to see people working up the steps or going on like across the bar, but like seeing people coming in from a writer's program that have now got their short film funded with us, and that, or somebody else has gone into shadow placement and now they've just been picked up like for a TV series with Screen Ireland. Like there's all that different, you know, that you're able to watch people's growth is probably the most rewarding.
We're still quite new, but we were just talking about this because I keep touching you. We're going to be 4 years deep next year, and it's now that we're starting to see
the impact,
year one,
the ripple effect.
But I think you can see the ripple effect now in the scene of the irony is that Screen Ireland have funded the NTA to help people in bridging them in pathways, creating opportunities, and so on. Screen Ireland are inundated more than ever now with applications for development funding and so on. So it's working.
It is working.
They mightn't be happy about that now, but it's working.
But and then that's very true. And it's like, is there nothing on writers? Is there too many writers? But like maybe there is, but there's too many different types of writers now. We've got lots of different, even like genre based. Like we're not all writing because this is what we think Screen Ireland want, or we're not doing this because this is like exactly what, I don't know, whoever will fund. This is now like, actually, I'm going to tell my story, or I just like horror, or like there is. So there is definitely more people, but then there's a lot more like the widest sense of diversity within that. You know what I mean? So it's not, you know, and there's different different layers of that, and you have to work your way up, and like there's definitely miles to go for a lot of people, but like at least there's different stuff coming in, and hopefully they're funding different stories and different points of views and stuff, but we have a job to get people that far, which I think is working. But yeah, it is like we're very busy, and there is a lot of onus put on skills and training, but to write as well, happy and healthy, like, you know what I mean? It's not just training writers to a new writer to write a script and go and do that thing. It's like, no, it's like, it is, we goes back to job sharing, goes like these bigger shifts in the industry that are really important. Yeah.
I always used to feel that, and I've said it before in a previous podcast of Garry Talks Film, if you looked outside the steps of the Galway Film Fleadh during the festival, you'd see certain age groups, and you see people in their 20s who were just out of college and hungry, and they might have had some shorts being screened or something. And then there's a gap of like 10, 15 years. And then you have people maybe from, you know, the 40s onwards who actually managed to make a living out of working in the industry. But there was always that massive gap where people weren't able to make the next leap in the industry.
But we even developed our short film fund for that exact reason, because there's this weird catch-22 of you need a funded work to get funded work. And then that first step in your ladder can be very, very difficult. So we have the first credit short film scheme. So that is for totally new entrants of obviously of any age. And so coming in, they have a really good idea. They have a team, writer, director, producer team. And then we have like a full scheme that takes care of them. So yes, they get a pot of money for $8,000 to make the film, but also it's a lot of mentoring, it's a lot of workshops, it's a lot of training, it's shadowing if we can facilitate it. Super. There's a lot going on so that one, they make a great film, that's lovely, but they come out stronger, happier, healthier, like full of knowledge, and then ready to take that next step in their career. So yeah.
That's anytime anyone asks me about the short film scheme, that's what I say. I'm like, it's great that you're going to make your short, but you'll be a better filmmaker once you've been through the process, and it's so career changing.
Yeah. So it is just to be able, like, that's a good example of just hearing something again and again. And we're like, right, how can we fix this? And then to be fair, it was developed very closely with Screen Ireland and what would or wouldn't work, and their thoughts and input on it, and being able to change it and develop it, and it'll continue to change and develop and grow. And you know, there's lots of exciting stuff out there that hopefully will continue building on in that short film kind of area. But yeah, it's just like being able to find the issues, address the issues, and being agile enough, and having one that we know we have the funding and support, but then they're like a great steering group, our lead organizations, like been having that resource, being able to call somebody at SPI and have a conversation about stuff, because there's a blessing there of having this like that umbrella, but it's still Screen Ireland's still written on it, and people are going to take us more seriously because that's there, and like the money is great, but like actually the support there, and the being able to call somebody and have the conversation, or the like, you know, all that side of stuff is
being included in their conversation as well about the industry. Like they're always kind of supporting us in that kind of
definitely in that growth and and our own development, and like what we're doing and what we're not doing.
It's great that Screen Ireland has that wider sense.
Championing. Well done.
I got that.
That's a good word too. Thank you.
Go on, give it to us again without me interrupting. You have
champion.
You thought about it too much now.
Yeah.
No, but they do champion us. They do put us forward. They do let us, like, there is really like, if that's your learned experience, like that's what's happening on the ground. It's like, do a big old work plan, make your point, do all of this. It's not like, oh, we're going to do this. So much paperwork and so much, like so much goes into every scheme that we develop, and everything that's involved in everything. Like there is a lot there, but like that's a small cross to bear to be able to like actually make an impact. And that's the skills that we have.
And sometimes people, when getting involved in these schemes or mentorships, realize that this isn't for me.
Yeah, which is a big.
But that's a win as well.
As a win, 100%, because you could have saved someone so much of their time, because it's a hard industry to get into, and it's hard to step up to like a HOD, or it's hard to step up to, you know, from shorts to features, and if it's not for you, praise Jesus and just back away slowly.
No, but it is. It's very. It is. Because sometimes you only find out, you're like 10 years down the road, and you're like, what am I still doing? I'm very unhappy. And maybe that's just too much work, but you also have to work too much to be able to, you know, make sure they have the money. But
I think what's important about this, for me, about this podcast as well, that we don't try and gloss things and make things look pretty and sparkly and so on if they're not. You're on the ground with filmmakers all the time. Is the industry good at the moment?
In what respect?
Get more detail. Like,
in terms of, is working in the Irish film industry at the moment, is it strong? Is it looking hopeful and growth-wise, or is it tough?
Continued work.
Is it more challenging now than it was maybe last year?
I would say that it's better than it has been. You're still talking about extremely long hours, and always the thing in the back of your head of like, is there going to be another job after this? So you keep taking on work. I mean, it's good as in it doesn't look like there's going to be a slump, but we have to mind our crew. Yeah, we have to mind the people that work in the industry. Say we with a lot of responsibility, but it's important to take care of people and to not run them into the ground and just mind them.
And are we losing crew to other countries, or are we losing crew to just people saying like, I'm just going to change my career altogether?
Yeah. I personally know of crew that are now based in the UK, but the one crew member I'm thinking of, actually, he's worked on Star Wars, he's worked on a bunch of stuff in the UK, but because we mentioned earlier that the 23% drop in production in the UK, he did actually come home and work on Wayfinders. And it was fantastic that he was back in the country, and it felt really good for me personally. Yeah. But I know he's back in the UK now, so it's but it's quite fluid. Like crews kind of come, we're a very co-production country. Yourself. So crew will come and work here. Some will stay,
some will go.
Some will go, and the same with the Irish crew. I think people generally want to be in Ireland, though. I think the crews are paid well. I probably shouldn't go into payment too much, actually. We scrap that. But like, it's a good ecosystem in terms of like retribution and that kind of stuff. And the hours they're not like American hours. They could be better. They could be more manageable. But I think we're in a nice middle ground.
Still not easy.
It's not easy.
And it's not for everybody.
And the hours probably aren't as long because it gets dark at 5 o'clock.
Well, sometimes all you need is night, but I mean, that doesn't stop some other countries just piling on the overtime. In my capacity as producer, I was talking to some Canadians recently that were like factoring in all this overtime, and I was like, if you're coming to film in Ireland, you just don't.
Yeah,
because they won't do it. So, but we'll get it done in this amount of time.
Yeah, and safely.
Yeah.
And it'll be grand.
It'll be grand.
Such a good time. But yeah, it is like, I think there's definitely a lot going on, and with that there's goods and bads. Yeah. But I think it goes back to if you want to be in it, and if you like it is tough. Yeah. Like if we're not sugarcoating things, it is tough, and it's a long game. Yeah. You don't make one short and then making a feature, and then like actually, how great is a feature? Do you know what I mean? Like, what? You're not going to make millions. Yeah. You make millions. Not going to make it lots of money. You're not going to, you know what I mean? Like, who are you doing this for? Yeah. Like, is this for you? Is this for like, I don't know, like there's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot that goes into it. And like, what is the end result? And we do, like, obviously people drop out because it's not all puppies and rainbows.
Some of the people we've seen coming in through entry level programs, though, they hit the ground running, and you're just like, you were born to be here, and that is that's a high. Like that is so satisfying. And
then there's other people that you're like, you have it in you. Let's find it together, and then it's there. And then some people are like, nope. This is not for you. This is like, this is not. That can be in lots of different things, like just different. just different. Yeah. Like for me, it's not for me. Like, it's not for me. That's not where my skills lie. Yeah. Like, everyone's like, you should be a producer. And I'm like, nope. Yeah. Like, that is not.
You would be a great producer.
Yeah.
That is not.
You just got to accept it. It's within you. We just got to find it.
Give me a mentor stat. No, but it's just not. Like, it's just like, I'm too much of a control freak. I'm like,
That's producers.
I know, but like, of everything. Yeah. Like, everything. Anyway.
You're shifting in your chair there. It's like you've seen the chaos of filmmaking. Yeah. Where it's like, it makes you physically uncomfortable.
It is. It's tough. Like, it's really, really tough. And like, it can be as hard as you want to make it. But like, if you want to write, you have to want to write, and you have to, with all that comes everything, and no one's going to hand you out anything. Like, we're here to support, but like, you still got to show up every day and do all the hard work.
Yeah. I say that about the camera department just because the camera trainee environment is really oversaturated. So if someone is like, oh yeah, I might be interested in camera, I'm like, you need to live and breathe camera. Like, it can't just be a passing notion, because it's like, we'll be able to get you a work placement fair enough, you're on set. Like for us, that won't be an issue. But then you getting work after that, like you're going to have to be really
So where's
ruthless.
there more work in, do you think?
Accounts.
Accountants. That's it.
It's not very creative, unless you're doing creative accounting.
If there are any accountants, listening, though, it's an interesting career path, and also it's very accessible in that, like, you don't have to have your accounts. What's an accounting degree called? You can come in with no previous.
Or you don't need to be a chartered accountant.
You don't need to be a chartered accountant. You don't need to have gone to any like school for accounting. You can do like an entry level course with us, and then go in, do a work placement, and then get onto a job as and
train up
as petty cash, and train up through there. I know that a lot of financial controllers and production accountants have gone on to become fully qualified electricians, fully qualified accountants. They've gone on to become fully qualified accountants, but that isn't how they started. And I think that's really powerful in terms of, like, it can be really daunting. And, you know, if you want to be a producer, I would say, you know, do a few years in accounts. I think that will make you such a stronger producer in the long run. I wish I knew anything about money. I think that would really help.
Some of the best business people I know studied accountancy after college, like when they were running the business. So plenty of roles in accounting in the industry. Anything else?
No.
I think if you're good, you're good. If you're skilled, if you can, you know, if you've got a particular talent for a particular way of doing anything, be that writing, be that absolutely anything, stills photography, like anything. There's so many jobs there. It's just about, like, one, being good enough and turning up and working hard and having a good
having a good attitude.
Good attitude
is so powerful. Reputation.
Thank you. Having a good reputation, because that's a big thing as well. You know, like, you have to. You know, it is job by job, and people
should be happy to see you coming.
Your reputation is your CV, really.
100%.
Alva Keoghan says this great thing, which is, if somebody's ringing you, like, before you take a job, if someone's ringing you, I have to do this all the time. If they rang you, would you want to answer their phone call? Now, I personally don't answer the phone to anybody, like, ever. Like, ever.
Not even Gar, your husband.
Nobody answers the phone. If the cats could call me, no. But if that person, like, that shouldn't fill you with dread. Like, that's in it. So if your HOD that's filling you with dread, or going to work is filling you with dread, or whatever, like, that is not the environment that you should be putting yourself in or creating for other people. You do not want to be that person that's ringing people at 3 a.m. and being like, where the fuck is this, or who is that, or what is that? Like, you don't want to be that person.
And you, like, from an entry level point of view, you want to be useful, and you want to be just like, listen, don't be on TikTok, you know, be engaged, because, you know, sometimes new entrants can want it so bad, but then actually it's quite boring. And, you know, entry level roles, it's either pure chaos or you're standing beside a bin. And, like, that doesn't sound very sexy.
That's part of the,
but that is 100% part of it. You're totally right.
I remember there was a great thing that carried me through life when I was working as a teenager in Roche Stores, which is now gone. They used to say to us, no matter what, don't be caught with your hands in your pockets. So always look busy. Always look busy. And it's the same thing on set. You know, even I think if you're a mentee there, you're look busy, or ask questions,
just
or
watch.
just watch.
Even just picking one person and watching,
listening. Like, if you're on an AD work placement, chances are you'll be blocking off. But, like, you need to be listening, because stuff can move. Like, things can happen very quickly, and, like, it might just be a 5-minute window out of a 7-hour, you know, shoot, or a 7-hour scene. If you're not listening, or if you're just missed that bit of information, then it's like, okay, we can't rely on you to be engaged.
What's on TikTok will still be there 6 hours later. And what about finally then virtual production? Do you think there's an AI and everything? Do you think there's a huge surge about to come down the road in terms of using those tools for production?
Look at me. I am not qualified enough to. I think, like, AI in particular, it's figuring out as we go. Like, I think personally it's a useful tool. It's how we're using it and who's using it for me. But, like, we implement it in our training, but also in a very safe and secure way. And better yet, don't do this and don't put your information here. And the same, I guess, with virtual production. I don't know enough about honestly. But, like, it's it's like anything. There's always going to be the new thing that's scary, like the internet. I'm not comparing, you know what I mean, virtual production to the internet.
Scared of the internet?
No, but like people were, you know,
they were.
They were, or like
the millennium. Do you remember we thought the whole world was going to shut down?
But like, there's always something, and it's what you do with that information and how you educate yourself, I think, is the important thing. I'm doing the micro-credential entertainment law in
University
I could remember that, but I couldn't
University of Galway.
Or University of Galway. So,
interesting.
Which is good. Yeah, so that's developed through the NTA with the college and the Law Society. So, but even in
and you're learning all about contracts and consent forms as well.
Yeah, and a lot around IP and a lot around like all of that. Obviously, it's like a micro-credential, so it's not going into crazy detail, but there's a lot of stuff that I wouldn't have even thought of before. But within that, even AI and like how that's going to play with IP and copyright if people are using it and using it incorrectly and they're just scraping it for data. Where's that data? That data belongs to someone. Yeah. So there's a lot there that I think like, and that's personally something I'm interested in because I'm funding people. Do you know what I mean? I'm paying somebody to write something, and if they're scraping all the information from somebody else and without knowing it. So there's a lot there, but that's only my little teeny tiny corner of it. Never mind anything else. And that's not for creation of anything, like visual wise, but there's a lot there, you know. I think if we tried hard enough, we'd be frightened of everything. So I think it's about, setting yourself up and educating yourself.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Finally, what message would you like to put out there to people who are interested in maybe heading over to the website and taking that next step in the industry?
Obviously, like all the information is there. The courses are there. They're quite detailed. There's obviously our email addresses and signing up to the newsletter. I think attending a network event as well as doing the training, be that online, even like the read and learn, or, there's different levels of engagement. If you're not comfortable with going into a hotel to meet lots of people, there's different levels of engagement. I would say start applying for stuff. Even honing your application skills is huge. Like a lot of with the short film scheme, we do a registration day where we talk through the application form and through the information and what this looks like. And there's templates for things. Like even doing that and making that application, even if you don't make it, but doing it all.
Is there any tips you can give there on putting together a good application?
Detail, really. It's all about, for me anyway, all about detail. In general, all of our schemes for the NTA Film and TV, we ask for a personal statement and a CV. And really that's because sometimes your CV is just a list of stuff that has no context. Or maybe it's one thing, you're working in pennies and you did these 2 shorts, or you've done these fab little cinema things. But equally, then your personal statement, it's what I say to put the most time and effort into, because you can really be like, I am here, I want to be here. This is a realistic place that I am in my life. I think this course will address this, or I want this funding to do this. Application forms are a big one, but I'd say engaging slowly. You don't have to go straight into like the multi-camera course that's, for high-end TV. You don't have to dive straight into that and be expected that. Like slow engagement, working your way up, like coming along and meeting us, having the chats, following us on social media, like NTA, not us personally.
You can follow
full of cats, so much cats. But like even that, like just slowly engaging and learning who's around you, going to festivals and watching shorts, like that slow engagement. You don't have to jump in and be a fantastic filmmaker, like slow and steady, really. Yeah. We're not scary. We're here to support and help. So even if it is coming along to something or dropping us an email or coming to say hi at something, that's what we're here for, really. So that's what I would say in terms of advice, for next steps. And be that everywhere. You could be quite as we've said, done lots of features and then struggling that getting into that TV space, and you're like, I have this and just nobody's listening to me. Like having a conversation, sometimes they're like, right, well maybe you need to be looking at an international mentor that has, showrunner experience, like all of these things. There's lots there, but I think engaging slowly and not putting that pressure on yourself to be Lady Abramson tomorrow is important. Yeah.
Brilliant, Lorraine.
Yeah, I'd agree. Like attending things like FISH or any industry events and networking, with that, whatever's within your capacity. And that's for all levels.
Yeah. Which are free as well. We want to say free. Like everything we do is free, which is very important.
Thank you, Screen Ireland.
So but that is an issue in our industry is, come on in, but we'll charge you. Yeah. And be that whatever level of charge, like financial or just we'll milk you for all your time and energy. Yeah. So that's very important as well to say that, don't let that be another barrier. That's at least one thing that we can or at least Screen Ireland can take away quite quickly. I cut right across you.
No, that's okay. I love it. The other thing, just from what you were saying, was like, if you are going to go onto the website and take a look at previous courses, or even there's a course that you want to just read the full profile as well to see if it is suitable. If it is suitable for you, and if it's targeted at you, and if it's not, again, the email is right there. Just reach out and we can let you know if there's something that's a bit more suitable. If the thing you're looking at is a bit too advanced, we can let you know if there's something coming down the line that's just going to serve you well. Because otherwise, you're probably just wasting your own energy filling out, because a good application is vital. I get a lot of as above, and I don't like that.
Yeah. That's a bugbear.
I don't like it.
No more as
Good
above. No, but definitely there is. I guess the other thing, we're very preachy NTA, which is like part of our job, like it is, and it's because
it's great to get the clarity for people.
And I think another part of that clarity is like, we personally, Film and TV, have run 103 initiatives this year so far, which is like a lot. And I think we're just over 5,000 people. So like, and that's not even applications. That's people that have been accepted and been to things and processed, and we've chatted to like at some. So, and that's just one of us, never mind all of us, and all of us together even more. So there is like, we're here, but also nothing is a given. Just because you've come along to one course doesn't mean that you're going to get the funding. Like, there is a lot of that, like making a detailed application. It's not like, oh, well, you know me. It's like, well, sure. But like, that's actually what we're trying to reduce, is that, me, or like we chatted that last day. So there's a lot of like taking the time, to read the right application, course profile, and then, and make a good application and doing that, because there is thousands of people out there. And maybe if you don't get into the first 3 things you apply to, but then the fourth, or email us and say, why, just checking in, is there a reason I'm not getting into these? Like, what was the problem? Sometimes it's like, well, this is the issue, or a lot of the times it's external selection panel, so it's very hard for us to say, but it's say, right, actually this looks good for you, or come along to this, or let's have a chat at this event. And so there's a lot of that. So there's definitely like, come on in, but also there's a lot going on.
Also to add is like, I'm just in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, because I have about 8 people at the moment who've been through courses with Crew West that are waiting to be placed, and they're being so patient. And that's the other thing as well, is that we can only do what's within our capacity and our power. So, when you're engaging with us, have a little bit of patience too. That's the only thing. But like, we have been really, really lucky. So if people are listening to this and they are thinking, oh yeah, this is the answer to all my prayers, and then, maybe they do get a knockback on the, be patient, and like, it's not a no forever. It's just a not now.
Yeah, exactly. Not now.
That's very nice.
That should be the answer on every Screen Ireland application. Not now.
Not now, but come back.
Thanks a million for joining me in studio today. Continued success, and hopefully it's not just next year you're around, but for many, many years, because it's having a fantastic impact on the people in the industry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eve. Thanks, Lorraine.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening to this week's episode of Garry Talks Film. We'll talk to you again next Wednesday. Garry Talks Film, kindly supported by Grace on Demand, Skillnet, and the RAP Commission.